Get your loud little black attitude out of my lobby before I have you dragged out, sweetheart. The white manager's voice sliced through the Ellison Grand as he slapped the black card from Maya. Ellison's hand, the plastic skittering across polished marble. His black suit barely rustled as he stepped closer, the smell of expensive cologne and contempt flooding her space. Women like you always think the rules don't apply, he sneered, open palm cracking across her cheek, the sound snapping through the lobby like a command. Maya didn't flinch, didn't blink, just absorbed it in absolute stillness. The white manager had no idea he'd just laid hands on the one woman whose signature controlled his entire future. Before continuing, comment where in the world you are watching from and make sure to subscribe because tomorrow's story is one you can't miss. The morning sun glinted off the gold letters spelling Ellison Grand Hotel as Dr. Maya Ellison stepped out of the sleek town car. Her emerald green dress caught the light, professional and pristine, matching her carefully controlled expression. She adjusted her grip on the small wheeled suitcase. Just enough luggage for a brief stay. The doorman barely glanced her way as she approached the gleaming glass entrance. Maya noted his distraction, the way his eyes skimmed past her to focus on a white couple emerging from a Mercedes behind her. Her heels clicked steadily across the marble lobby floor, each step measured and deliberate. This was her flagship property, the crown jewel of her hospitality empire. But today, she wasn't here as the CEO. The whispered complaints of discrimination had grown too numerous to ignore. She needed to see for herself how her staff treated guests when they thought no one important was watching. At the front desk, Jordan Pike stood with perfect posture, hands clasped. Their name tag gleamed under the crystal chandelier light. Maya approached with a polite smile, but Jordan's expression remained stiff. Professional yet cold. Good morning, Maya said. I have a reservation. Jordan's fingers hovered over the keyboard. ID and credit card, please. The words came out clipped, almost mechanical. Maya reached for her wallet, noting how Jordan's eyes narrowed slightly, that familiar look of suspicion she'd seen countless times before. As she placed her ID and credit card on the counter, a white couple approached the desk beside her. The other clerk greeted them warmly, checking them in without asking for identification. There seems to be an issue with your previous charge, Jordan said, frowning at the screen. The system shows. Yes, I noticed a double charge online, Maya began to explain, keeping her voice even. I'd like to, ma'am. The deep voice cut through her words like a knife. Maya turned to see Travis Cole approaching, his black suit immaculate, white dress shirt crisp against his pale skin. He moved behind the counter with the easy confidence of someone used to commanding rooms. Is there a problem here? I was explaining about the double charge. I'm sure you've misunderstood our rate structure, Travis interrupted again, his smile not reaching his eyes. We are very clear about our pricing. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at another establishment more. He paused deliberately. In your price range, Maya felt the familiar heat of indignation rise in her chest, but her voice remained steady. I understand the rates perfectly. I'm simply pointing out that my card was charged twice for the same night. Travis leaned forward, placing both hands on the counter. Ma'am, I've been managing luxury properties for 15 years. I can assure you our billing system doesn't make mistakes. His tone dripped with condescension. Now, if you'd like to make a new reservation at our standard rate, Jordan shifted uncomfortably behind the computer, eyes darting between them. Maya stood straighter, squaring her shoulders. I'd like to speak with someone in authority. Travis's smirk spread slowly across his face as he adjusted his suit jacket. You're looking at him, ma'am. He emphasized the last word, wielding it like a weapon. Maya's jaw tightened, the muscles working beneath her skin. She could feel the stares of other guests, the weighted silence of the lobby pressing in around them. In her chest, decades of similar moments crystallized into diamond-hard resolve. She would not let this go. Not this time, not in her own hotel. The air crackled with tension as they faced each other across the polished counter. Travis's smirk never wavered, secure in his perceived authority. Jordan's fingers had stilled completely on the keyboard, their discomfort palpable. Around them, the lobby hummed with the usual morning activity, guests checking out, bellhops moving luggage, the distant ding of elevators. But at this counter, time seemed suspended in amber. Maya noticed every detail with crystal clarity. Huo Yinghe's slight sneer playing at the corner of Travis's mouth, the way he shifted his weight to tower over her, the subtle exchanges of glances between staff members who clearly had seen this behavior before. She catalogued each micro-expression, each dismissive gesture, storing them away as evidence of exactly what she had come to find. In the soaring atrium above, sunlight streamed through the stained glass ceiling her architects had designed to her specifications. The very walls around them had been built with her vision of creating spaces where everyone would feel welcome and respected. The irony of being treated this way in her own establishment wasn't lost on her. Maya's hand rested on her credit card, still lying on the counter between them. She could feel the raised letters of her name beneath her fingers, the same name that adorned the building's facade in giant golden letters, the same name this man had been hired to represent with dignity and professionalism. The gentle click of her manicured nails against the counter surface was the only sound as she gathered herself for what would come next. She had built her empire by maintaining control in moments exactly like this one. The rage that simmered beneath her skin was a familiar companion, but it would not rule her actions. Not yet. Travis drummed his fingers on the counter, impatience radiating from every movement. Look, ma'am, you're holding up other guests with these dramatic accusations. He gestured to the growing line behind Maya, though she noticed he hadn't shown such concern for efficiency when chatting with the white couple earlier. I'm not being dramatic, Maya said, her voice measured and clear. I'm simply asking for the double charge to be corrected. It's a straightforward accounting issue. The rates are the rates, Travis said, speaking slowly as if explaining to a child. If you can't afford our premium pricing, I can recommend several alternative establishments. His lips curled into what might have looked like a helpful smile to observers, but Maya recognized the contempt beneath it. A young mother with 2 children shuffled past, stealing glances at the confrontation. Maya noticed how the woman pulled her kids closer, hurrying them toward the elevator. The subtle fear of a scene Huo Qian Fa black woman causing trouble Huo Weng is painfully familiar. I understand the rates perfectly well, Maya said, keeping her voice steady despite the growing knot of anger in her chest. What I don't understand is why you're refusing to address a simple billing error. Travis's face hardened. We don't make errors here, and we have ways of dealing with problem guests who try to scam our system. He straightened his black suit jacket, a gesture of authority that Maya had seen countless times before from men like him. This is my hotel, Maya repeated, reaching for her phone. And I will not be spoken to this way in my own establishment. A harsh laugh burst from Travis. Your hotel. He looked around the lobby, inviting others to share in his amusement. Some staff members smirked. Others found sudden interest in their computer screens or floor tiles. Lady, I've worked here 15 years. I know every owner, every board member, and you, he looked her up and down with unveiled disdain, are definitely not one of them. Maya's fingers closed around her credit card. I'm going to call corporate directly, she said, pulling the card back while reaching for her phone with her other hand. Travis's arm shot across the counter, fingers clamping around her wrist. You're not calling anyone. His grip tightened as he turned toward the uniformed security guard near the door. We need this woman removed from the property. The pressure on her wrist sent memories flashing through Maya's mind. Decades of similar moments when men like Travis thought they could control her through physical intimidation. Her voice rose clear and commanding. Take your hands off me now. Or what? Travis's face flushed red. He released her wrist but came around the counter with quick aggressive steps. You come in here cause a scene tried to run your little scam and then threaten me. Several phones were raised now, recording the confrontation. Maya saw them in her peripheral vision, but kept her eyes locked on Travis as he invaded her personal space. She didn't back away. I will say this one final time, Maya said. This is my hotel, and you need to step back. Travis's face contorted. Your hotel. The words came out as a snarl. You entitled. The slap cracked across her face like a thunderclap. The force of it rocked Maya sideways, her heel catching on the marble floor. Her earring clattered across the polished stone. The sound echoed through the suddenly silent lobby, bouncing off the high ceiling and ornate columns her architects had designed to her specifications. Time seemed to slow. Maya could feel every sensation with crystal clarity. The sharp sting spreading across her cheek. The taste of copper where her teeth had caught her inner lip. The weight of dozens of eyes watching this moment unfold. Phones hovered in the air, their owners frozen in shock. A child whispered something to their mother and was quickly shushed. At the concierge desk, an older black woman, Gloria, the head housekeeper, half rose from her chair, eyes wide with recognition and horror. Maya's designer heels found their balance on the marble floor her contractors had installed just 2 years ago. She straightened to her full height, the emerald green dress shifting with the movement. Her hand rose slowly to her burning cheek, but her eyes never left Travis's face. She saw the moment his satisfaction turned to uncertainty. Something in her unwavering gaze made him take a small step back. The lobby held its collective breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Maya stood perfectly still, one hand pressed to her cheek, studying the man who had just assaulted her in her own hotel. She noted every detail, the slight tremor in his hands, the sweat beading at his hairline, the way his expensive black suit couldn't quite hide the tension in his shoulders as he realized he might have miscalculated. The silence stretched, heavy with potential energy. Nobody moved, nobody spoke, even the usual ambient sounds of the Hotel Huo Zan elevator chimes, distant conversations, rolling luggage Huo Xianyi muted, as if the building itself was holding its breath. Through the soaring windows, morning sunlight continued to stream into the lobby, catching the crystal chandelier and casting prismatic patterns across the scene. These same windows had been Maya's inspiration, designed to fill her hotel with natural light, to create a space of warmth and welcome. Now they illuminated a moment of raw, undisguised hatred, the very thing she had built her company to fight against. The crystalline silence shattered as Maya's hand moved from her cheek to her designer purse. Her movements were deliberate, unhurried. She extracted her phone with the same precise control she used in board meetings, her fingernails perfectly manicured in deep burgundy, tapping the screen with quiet authority. Travis's confident smirk began to waver. Security, he called out, voice pitching higher than before. Remove this woman from the premises. She attacked me. Maya held up one finger in a silencing gesture as she put the phone on speaker. The sound of ringing echoed through the marble lobby. A few guests lowered their recording phones, uncertain now. Others raised them higher, sensing something significant was about to unfold. The line connected. Operations. This is Marcus. A crisp voice answered. Marcus, this is Dr. Maya Ellison. Her voice carried clearly without a tremor. I've just been physically assaulted in the lobby of the Ellison Grand by your hotel manager. A sharp intake of breath came through the speaker. Dr. Ellison, my God, are you all right? Hold on, I'm conferencing in HR immediately. Travis's laugh came out forced, hollow. This is ridiculous. She's obviously lying. Dr. Ellison. A new voice joined the call. Angela Chen from our. We're recording this call. Please tell us exactly what happened. Maya's voice remained steady, professional. At approximately 9:47 a.m., your manager, Travis Cole, grabbed my wrist when I attempted to make a call about a billing dispute. When I told him to remove his hands, he came around the counter and slapped me across the face. This occurred in full view of guests and staff. The security cameras should have clear footage. Behind the front desk, Jordan Pike's face had drained of color. Their hands trembled as recognition finally clicked. The woman from every corporate training video, every company-wide email, every leadership portrait in the employee handbook. The CEO they'd treated like an unwanted guest. Ms. Chen, Maya continued, I want security to immediately confiscate Mr. Cole's access cards and keys. No one is to touch the security footage. I want it downloaded and sent to corporate within the next 5 minutes. Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Angela's voice was sharp with authority. Security has been notified. We're dispatching corporate representatives now. Travis's face had shifted from red to pale. This is some kind of scam. I've never seen this woman before in my life. She can't be Drive Ellison. A quiet voice cut through his protests. Gloria Watkins stepped forward from near the concierge desk, her movements slightly stiff from years of physical labor. Despite her limp, she carried herself with dignity. Are you all right, Drive Ellison? Should I call for medical assistance? The lobby's atmosphere shifted palpably. Staff members who had been smirking moments before now looked stricken. They'd all seen Gloria's picture with Dr. Ellison in the employee newsletter last month celebrating her 35 years of service. I'm fine, Gloria, thank you. Maya's voice softened slightly. Please help me gather all on-duty staff in the lobby immediately. Travis backed up a step, bumping into the counter. Now wait just a minute, Mr. Cole. Marcus's voice cut through the speaker. Do not move from that lobby. Corporate security is en route. Any attempt to leave the premises will be considered an admission of guilt. Maya pressed another button on her phone. The manager on duty chime rang through the hotel's PA system. 3 sharp bells that usually signaled staff meetings. Within minutes, employees began filtering into the lobby. Housekeepers, maintenance workers, kitchen staff, front desk personnel. They clustered in uncertain groups, whispering among themselves. Gloria methodically worked her way through the crowd, ensuring every department was represented. She'd done this countless times for staff meetings, but never with such grim purpose. Maya stood in the center of the lobby, one hand still holding her phone on speaker, the other smoothing her emerald green dress. The red mark on her cheek stood out starkly against her dark skin. For those who don't recognize me, she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the marble expanse. I am Drive Maya Ellison, CEO and founder of Ellison Hospitality Group. 9 minutes ago, your manager physically assaulted me in this lobby. This is not an isolated incident. She paused, scanning the crowd. Some looked away, others stared defiantly. A few, mostly older staff members of color, nodded slowly, unsurprised. Over the past year, we've received 37 complaints about discriminatory treatment at this property. Complaints that were systematically downplayed or ignored. I came here today to investigate those reports personally. Her gaze settled on Travis, who had pressed himself against the counter as if trying to disappear into it. I didn't expect such immediate confirmation of the problem. She lifted her phone slightly. Angela, please note the time. Effective immediately. I am implementing an emergency shutdown of this property for a complete cultural and conduct review. Her voice hardened. Additionally, all current on-duty staff are terminated effective immediately. Gasps and protests erupted. Someone in the back shouted, "You can't do this." "I can and I am." Maya's voice cut through the chaos. HR will contact individuals who are found not to be complicit in this culture of discrimination. For some of you, that may mean a second chance. For most of you, this is your final day in my house. Travis found his voice again. This is illegal. My family's lawyers will. Your family's lawyers, Maya interrupted smoothly, can contact our legal department. I'm sure they'll be especially interested in the security footage. Her phone chimed with an incoming video call. Dr. Ellison, Angela said through the speaker, the board is requesting an emergency meeting in 30 minutes. The lobby had erupted into a chaos of voices, shocked staff members gathering their belongings, guests being quietly escorted to other hotels, security guards strategically positioning themselves near exits. Through it all, Maya stood perfectly still, the morning sun streaming through those soaring windows she had designed, illuminating her like a statue of justice. Maya sat perfectly straight in the hotel's small conference room, pressing a cold water bottle against her cheek. The space felt different now, emptier, tenser. Through the glass walls, she could see Gloria standing sentinel in the hallway, her posture as rigid as it had been during her decades of service. The conference room's sleek monitor displayed the corporate Zoom waiting room. Maya's laptop sat open beside it, showing security footage thumbnails, 12 different angles of the lobby incident. Her phone buzzed constantly with messages, but she ignored them, focusing instead on Jordan Pike, who hovered nervously by the door. Jordan, Maya said quietly, I need those security files backed up and sent to corporate immediately. Every angle, full resolution, no editing. Jordan's hands twisted together. Yes, ma'am, Dr. Ellison, I just Mr. Cole usually handles the security footage personally. Mr. Cole will not be handling anything else in this hotel ever. Maya's tone left no room for debate. Do you understand what I'm asking you to do? Jordan swallowed hard. Yes, I'll need to use the security office computer. Go now, send the files directly to Angela Chen in our CC my office. Maya watched Jordan hurry away, then called out, Gloria, please come in. Gloria entered with the careful dignity she brought to everything. Despite her limp, the result of a workplace injury years ago, she carried herself like royalty. She settled into a chair across from Maya, smoothing her uniform skirt. How long have you known about Travis's behavior? Maya asked. Gloria's weathered hands folded in her lap. Since he started, Drive. Ellison. 5 years of watching him treat our people like dirt. She reached into her pocket and withdrew a small notebook, its pages worn and filled with tight handwriting. I've kept track. Dates, times, what he said, who he said it to. Been doing it since before him, too. Nobody ever wanted to hear it before. Maya reached for the notebook, but the conference room screen lit up. The coup's face appeared first. Marcus Chen, looking grave. Dr. Ellison, are you all right? Do you need medical attention? I'm fine, Marcus. The bruising is minimal. Maya kept her voice professional. Do you have the security footage coming in now? Jordan sending multiple angles. Marcus paused as another window opened in the call. Eleanor is joining us. Eleanor Briggs appeared on screen, her silver hair perfect, her expression carefully controlled. The board chair's presence was both expected and concerning. Maya, Eleanor began, her tone measured. I want to first say that any physical assault is completely unacceptable. The board will not tolerate violence against any employee, much less our CEO. Maya noted the careful phrasing. Thank you, Eleanor. I trust you've been briefed on the immediate actions taken. Yes, about that. Eleanor's practiced smile tightened. While we understand your reaction, there are concerns about the optics of terminating an entire staff without notice. The operational disruption alone, the optics, Maya repeated softly, of addressing systematic discrimination. Maya, Eleanor leaned closer to her camera, there are complications here we need to discuss. Travis Cole isn't just any manager. He's Nathan Cole's nephew, part of the founding family. They still hold significant shares in the company. The water bottle crackled slightly in Maya's grip. Are you suggesting his family connection excuses assault? Of course not, Eleanor said smoothly. But it does impact how aggressively we can move forward. The Cole family has deep connections throughout the industry. They're already reaching out to other board members, expressing concerns about, in their words, rash actions and potential misunderstandings. Gloria's intake of breath was sharp enough to draw Eleanor's attention. Oh, Gloria, Eleanor's tone warmed artificially. I didn't realize you were there. Perhaps we should continue this discussion privately. Gloria stays, Maya said firmly. She has documented years of complaints that were systematically ignored. Haven't you, Gloria? Gloria lifted her chin. Yes, ma'am. 5 years of Mr. Cole's behavior. 15 years before that of similar treatment, all written down, all reported through proper channels. She patted her notebook, all buried. Eleanor's smile remained fixed, but her eyes hardened. Historical grievances can be addressed through proper channels. Right now, we need to focus on immediate concerns. The press will be all over this by morning. We have guests to relocate, contracts to manage, unions to appease. The press. Maya's voice could have frozen flame. A white male manager physically assaulted a black female CEO in her own hotel. Are you more concerned about managing that truth or hiding it? Maya, Eleanor sighed. You know it's more complex than that. We need time to craft a proper response to review all angles to ensure any actions we take are measured and appropriate. Marcus, who had been silent, cleared his throat. The security footage is quite clear, Eleanor. There's no ambiguity about what occurred. Even so, Eleanor pressed. We need to pause any further actions until the board can conduct a proper review. First thing tomorrow morning, we'll convene an emergency session, and the staff termination stand, Maya interrupted. The property remains closed for review. Maya, please. Eleanor's tone sharpened slightly. Let's take 24 hours to consider all options. No more unilateral decisions until we align as a board. We need to handle this delicately. Maya studied Eleanor's face on the screen. The same face that had smiled and called her a credit to the company at charity galas. The same face that had assured her diversity initiatives would be prioritized. The same face now suggesting that assault might be overlooked for the right family name. We'll reconvene tomorrow morning, Maya said finally. Send the meeting details to my office. Eleanor's relief was palpable. Thank you, Maya. Get some rest. Put some ice on that cheek. We'll sort this out properly tomorrow. The call ended, leaving Maya staring at the dark screen. Gloria hadn't moved, her hands still protectively covering her notebook of ignored injustices. Maya sat in the darkened hotel suite, city lights twinkling through floor-to-ceiling windows like distant stars. Her emerald green dress lay draped over a chair, replaced by a soft hotel robe. The red mark on her cheek had faded, but the sting lingered, both physical and psychological. In the quiet darkness, the scene played over and over in her mind. Travis's contemptuous smile, the sharp crack of his hand against her face, the collective gasp of the lobby crowd. Some had looked away, others had pulled out phones. A few staff members had actually smirked, but Gloria Huolan-Loria had stepped forward, dignity intact, finally able to speak truth to power. Maya pressed her fingers to her temple, remembering a summer afternoon in 1975. She'd been 8 years old, holding her mother's hand outside a gleaming hotel in Atlanta. Her father, a respected professor in his best suit, being told there were no vacancies, despite the obvious vacancy sign. Her mother's quiet dignity as they walked away, her father's contained fury. They'd slept in their car that night, and now I own this place, Maya whispered to the darkness. The irony felt bitter on her tongue. All her success, her billions, her name in gold letters on the building, and still a white man felt entitled to strike her for daring to assert her rights. Her phone buzzed, another message from Eleanor suggesting an alignment meeting before tomorrow's board session. Maya ignored it, instead opening her text thread with Alicia Ramos. They'd met as young civil rights attorneys before Maya had shifted to business. Alicia had stayed in the trenches fighting discrimination cases with fierce determination. Need you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Maya typed, my place, it's worse than we thought. Alicia's response came quickly, I saw the video already pulling records. We're going to war. Maya opened her laptop, logging into the corporate compliance system. As CEO, she had access to every complaint filed across the hotel chain. She began filtering for the Ellison Grand and her stomach tightened. The numbers were staggering. Incident reports piled up, black guests asked to prepay when others weren't. Random room inspections targeting certain demographics, complaints about Travis Cole, specifically condescending behavior, inappropriate comments, selective enforcement of policies. Most had been marked resolved with minimal action. A few had small settlements attached, buried in miscellaneous expenses. One report caught her eye. A black family's wedding reception where Travis had called security over noise complaints despite being within normal decibel levels. The bride's mother had written, we saved for years for this day. Your manager made us feel like criminals in our own celebration. Maya's vision blurred with tears of rage. She blinked them away, continuing to scroll. Housekeeping staff reporting hostile work environments. Front desk employees documenting discriminatory practices they were forced to enforce. All filtered through proper channels, all effectively buried. She worked through the night building a timeline. By dawn, her suite's coffee table was covered in printouts and notes. She showered, dressed in a fresh charcoal suit, and waited for the board meeting to begin. At 8 a.m. sharp, her laptop screen filled with familiar faces. Eleanor sat centered, flanked by other board members. Most wore carefully neutral expressions. Good morning, Eleanor began. We're here to discuss yesterday's unfortunate incident and chart a path forward that protects all stakeholders. Maya noted the word choice who along OT addresses assault or ensures justice but protects stakeholders. Eleanor continued, her voice diplomatic. We've received some concerning calls. The Cole family has significant concerns about the handling of this situation. They're suggesting possible legal action over the staff terminations. Legal action. Maya's voice was still over consequences for documented assault. Maya, Eleanor sighed. This is precisely the emotional response we need to avoid. The family claims Travis felt threatened. They're painting this as a misunderstanding that spiraled out of control. Other board members shifted uncomfortably as Eleanor pressed on. Given the sensitivity of the situation and the family's historical importance to our company, it might be best if you stepped back temporarily, just until we can complete a thorough review. Step back, Maya repeated flatly. From the company I built. No one is questioning your contributions, Eleanor assured smoothly. But we need to consider the broader implications. The Cole family's connections run deep in this industry. Their narrative of events is already circulating. They're framing this as an overreaction. A powerful CEO vindictively firing an entire staff over a personal dispute. Maya watched the other board members' faces. Some wouldn't meet her eyes. Others showed flickers of discomfort but remained silent. The system protecting itself. We need to proceed cautiously, Eleanor concluded. Perhaps a mutual cooling-off period would be best. We can issue a joint statement about taking time to review protocols. The meeting continued with careful corporate language masking ugly implications. No firm decisions were made. No real action was taken. Just the subtle pressure to back down, to let things settle, to protect the status quo. Later, Maya sat at her kitchen table, stirring honey into tea she didn't intend to drink. The morning light caught the delicate china cup, a replica of one her mother had loved but could never afford. She thought of Gloria's notebook full of ignored complaints, of the staff who had smiled at her humiliation, of Eleanor's practiced diplomatic tone masking institutional rot. This isn't about one slap, she murmured, setting down her spoon. They're protecting the system. Maya pushed through the heavy glass doors of Alicia Ramos' law office, her emerald dress partially hidden under a light spring coat. The morning sun cast long shadows across the polished floor of the reception area. Under her arm, she clutched a manila folder stuffed with preliminary documents, complaint records, staff reports, and board meeting notes from the previous day. Alicia stood waiting, arms crossed, her dark eyes already blazing with controlled anger. She'd seen the grainy video clips circulating online. "In your own lobby," she said, pulling Maya into a fierce hug. "Let's destroy them." In Alicia's corner office, Maya sank into a leather chair while her friend closed the door and lowered the blinds. For a moment, neither spoke. The weight of decades fighting similar battles hung between them. "Start from the beginning," Alicia said, legal pad ready. "Every detail." Maya described the front desk confrontation, Travis's escalating aggression, the shocking impact of his hand against her face. She outlined the 9-minute response, firing the staff, securing footage, alerting corporate. Her voice remained steady until she reached Eleanor's carefully worded suggestions of stepping back. "The board chair actually told you to step aside." Alicia's pen pressed hard enough to indent the paper. "After you were assaulted on camera," Eleanor's exact words were, "cooling off, period." Maya said she's more worried about the Cole family's feelings than employee safety or civil rights. Alicia stood pacing the office. "This is perfect. Actually, their response proves the systemic nature. One racist manager is bad, but a board protecting him. That's a pattern we can work with." She turned sharply. "We need to launch a full internal civil rights investigation. Not just this incident, everything." "I've started pulling records," Maya said, opening her folder. "Complaints, incident reports, HR files. Most were buried or dismissed, but the paper trail exists." "Good, but we need more." Alicia grabbed a whiteboard marker. "Current and former employees who will testify, guests who experienced discrimination, security footage, internal communications." She began mapping out investigation tracks. "The slap is our catalyst, but we're building a bigger case." Maya nodded. "I'm meeting Gloria, our head housekeeper, this afternoon. She's been there over 30 years. Says she has documentation." "Perfect. She'll be crucial. Long-term employees who witnessed the culture firsthand are golden." Alicia added Gloria in capital letters. "What about other staff? Any potential whistleblowers? Maybe Jordan, the front desk clerk." They seemed uncomfortable with what happened. Maya rubbed her temple. "But they're young, probably scared. We'll get there. Focus on Gloria first." Alicia studied her friend. "You know they're going to fight dirty. The Cole family, the board, they'll try to paint you as the aggressor." "Let them try," Maya said quietly. "I've spent my life building safe spaces for people who look like me. I won't let them take that away." Later that afternoon, Maya sat in Gloria's small housekeeping office, surrounded by cleaning supplies and neatly labeled storage bins. The space smelled of lemon polish and industrial detergent. Gloria moved carefully, favoring her left leg. "An old injury from years of physical labor. Been keeping these since '89, Gloria said, pulling worn notebooks from a locked drawer. "Thought maybe someday somebody'd care enough to look." Maya opened the first notebook. Pages of careful handwriting documented dates, names, incidents. A white manager calling a black bellhop boy in 1992. A Latina housekeeper denied promotion in 1997 despite more experience. Asian guests consistently assigned to lower floors with city views instead of ocean views in 2003. "This one's from when I hurt my back," Gloria said, indicating an entry from 2008. "Slipped on a wet floor some drunk guest made. Manager. Said I was clumsy. Tried to deny my workers' comp. Wanted me to say it happened at home." Maya touched Gloria's hand. "I'm so sorry." "Don't be sorry. Be angry." Gloria's voice strengthened. "I wrote it all down. Every slight, every insult, every time they thought we weren't watching. Travis wasn't the first, just the boldest." They spent hours going through the notebooks. Gloria remembered every incident with crystal clarity. The humiliation of watching black guests get randomly selected for extra security checks. The pain of training younger white employees who were promptly promoted over her. "These records matter now," Maya promised as they finished. "We're going to make them matter." Meanwhile, across town, Jordan sat curled on their couch, scrolling through their phone with growing nausea. The staff group chat had exploded since yesterday's mass firing. Messages celebrated Maya's meltdown and praised Travis as a hero for standing up to her. Someone had posted a manipulated video clip showing only Maya's stern firing announcement, cut to remove all context of the assault. Others shared memes mocking her appearance and suggesting she'd played the race card. Jordan's thumb hovered over a particularly vicious thread where Travis himself had joined in bragging about putting that woman in her place. The same Travis who'd trained Jordan, who'd seemed so professional on the surface. The chat notifications kept buzzing. More racist jokes, more celebration of violence, more plans to paint Maya as the villain. Jordan felt sick remembering how they'd gone along with discriminatory protocols, telling themselves it was just policy. Opening a new email, Jordan typed Alicia Ramos's address found earlier through a quick search of civil rights attorneys. They had evidence, screenshots, unedited security footage saved to their personal drive, records of Travis's special instructions for profiling guests. But sending it meant becoming a target, meant possibly never working in hospitality again. Meant choosing sides in a war they'd tried to ignore. Jordan stared at the draft email, cursor blinking. Finally, they saved it. Not yet ready to hit send, but no longer able to pretend they hadn't seen the truth. 2 days later, Alicia's conference room looked like a war room. Papers covered every surface. Gloria's weathered notebooks spread open, corporate complaint logs stacked in chronological order, and post-it notes connecting incidents across decades. Three junior attorneys huddled over laptops, building a timeline that stretched across one wall. "Look at this pattern," said Maria, one of Alicia's associates, pointing to a cluster of complaints from 2019. 5 black guests charged additional security deposits in 1 month, all reversed after complaints, but only after they threatened legal action. Alicia nodded, adding another red marker line to their tracking board. And each time the manager's response was identical. "Miscommunication about hotel policy, same template, different signatures. Here's another cluster," said James, another associate, holding up one of Gloria's notebooks. 3 consecutive months in 2015 where minority staff got written up for dress code violations that weren't enforced for white employees. Gloria documented exact outfits, dates, everything. Alicia's phone buzzed. Maya's number. She stepped into the hallway to take the call. "We've got it," Alicia said without preamble. "Clear patterns going back years. Discrimination in guest treatment, hiring, promotions. The slap wasn't an isolated incident. It was the logical conclusion of a toxic culture they've enabled for decades." "Send me everything," Maya replied. "I need to understand the full scope." Meanwhile, at the Ellison Grand, Jordan sat alone in the empty break room 30 minutes before their shift. Their hands shook slightly as they pulled a USB drive from their pocket. For 2 days, they'd watched management scrambling to control the narrative, heard whispers about cleaning up old records. Jordan thought about their grandmother, who'd worked as a hotel maid for 40 years, who'd come home with similar stories of disrespect and discrimination, but never had proof that would matter. Who'd told Jordan to keep your head down and stay out of trouble. "I'm sorry, Grandma," Jordan whispered, "but staying quiet is its own kind of trouble." They walked to the front desk computer, plugged in the USB drive, and began copying files. Internal group chat logs full of racist jokes and slurs. Emails where Travis openly mocked black guests and instructed staff to scrutinize them more closely. Raw security footage from multiple cameras showing the lead-up to and aftermath of Maya's assault. Their heart pounded with each file transfer. If caught, they'd be fired instantly, probably blacklisted. But the weight of staying silent had become unbearable. That evening, Jordan sat in a back corner of a busy coffee shop, leg bouncing nervously under the table. When Alicia walked in, sharp suit, determined expression, Jordan almost lost their nerve. "Thank you for meeting me," Jordan said quietly as Alicia sat down. They slid the USB drive across the table. It's pretty bad. Tell me everything," Alicia said, voice gentle but firm. Jordan's words tumbled out. How Travis trained new staff to profile guests based on race. How complaints from minority customers were flagged for extra scrutiny while white guests got instant refunds. How the staff chat groups had become echo chambers of casual racism and mockery. "The worst part is I knew it was wrong," Jordan admitted, staring into their untouched coffee. "But I told myself it wasn't my problem. That speaking up wouldn't change anything." "It changes things now," Alicia assured them. "This evidence matters. You did the right thing." Across town, Eleanor Briggs sat in her home office, frowning at her phone. 3 major investors had called, expressing concerns about leadership stability. A reporter from the Business Journal had left messages asking about operational changes at the flagship property. She opened her laptop to find more troubling signs. Social media chatter about drama at Ellison Grand. Vague but pointed comments about emotional decisions and questionable judgment. The Cole family's network was clearly mobilizing. Eleanor pulled up the draft press statement her team had prepared, a carefully worded piece about reviewing protocols and maintaining brand standards. Nothing about assault or discrimination. Nothing that would anger powerful shareholders. Her finger hovered over the approve button when another email arrived. This one from a longtime board member warning that any hint of instability could threaten their upcoming Asia expansion. That night, Maya sat in her home office surrounded by Alicia's preliminary findings. The evidence was overwhelming. Page after page documented a system designed to maintain white comfort at the expense of minority dignity. A photo caught her eye. A staff Christmas party from 1995. Gloria stood in the back row, younger but with the same quiet dignity. Maya thought about how many people like Gloria had endured decades of small cruelties. Their complaints ignored or buried. She picked up one of the group chat transcripts Jordan had saved. Travis's casual cruelty leapt off the screen. Another one trying to live above their station. Show them where they really belong. Put her in her place. Maya touched her cheek, remembering the slap. Not an isolated incident, but the physical manifestation of years of institutional racism. The evidence proved what she'd always known. The entire system needed to be exposed and dismantled. Her phone lit up with texts from Eleanor urging caution, suggesting private meetings with key shareholders. Maya let them go unanswered. The time for backroom dealing was over. The next move had to be public, had to be impossible to ignore. She spread the documents across her desk. Gloria's notebooks, Jordan's files, corporate records that showed years of willful blindness. Together, they told a story that couldn't be buried or explained away. A story that demanded action. The morning sun cast long shadows across the steps of the Ellison Grand. Yellow police tape fluttered in the breeze, marking off the entrance where curious onlookers gathered. News vans lined the street, their satellite dishes reaching toward the sky like metal flowers. Maya stood at the top of the steps, her emerald dress crisp in the morning light. The bruise on her cheek had faded to a dull yellow, but she'd chosen not to cover it with makeup. Let them see the truth, she thought. Alicia stood to her right, a folder of documents tucked under her arm. To her left, Reverend James Marcus and Dr. Patricia Chen, respected community leaders, provided a steady presence. Camera shutters clicked rapidly as Maya approached the podium. She took a deep breath, her hand steady on the wooden surface. "Good morning," she began, her voice clear and measured. 3 days ago, I was physically assaulted in the lobby of this hotel. A hotel that bears my name, that I built from the ground up to be a place of dignity and respect for all guests and employees. The reporters leaned forward, microphones extended. The manager who struck me did so because he assumed I was, in his words, just another problem guest. He did not recognize me as the CEO and founder of Ellison Hospitality. More importantly, he did not recognize my basic humanity. Maya paused, letting the words sink in. This incident, while shocking, is not isolated. Our subsequent investigation has revealed a pattern of discriminatory practices that violates everything Ellison Hospitality stands for. As a result, I have ordered the temporary closure of this property for a comprehensive civil rights audit. Alicia stepped forward, her voice sharp and professional. We are committed to protecting current and former employees who come forward with information. Whistleblower protections are in place, and we have established a confidential reporting system. A large screen behind them flickered to life. The unedited security footage played, showing the interaction in stark detail. The lobby fell silent as they watched Travis lean over the counter, grab Maya's wrist, then step around to deliver the slap. The footage continued, showing Maya's composed response. No screaming, no retaliation, just quiet dignity in the face of assault. Questions. Maya asked when the footage ended. Miss Ellison, there are claims this was an overreaction to a misunderstanding. One reporter called out, "Drive." Ellison, Alicia corrected firmly, and the footage speaks for itself. This was a physical assault preceded by documented discriminatory behavior. Another reporter raised her hand. What about the employees who lost their jobs? Isn't that an extreme response? We are reviewing each case individually, Maya replied. Those who were not complicit in discriminatory practices will be welcomed back. Those who participated in or enabled abuse will not. The questions continued for 20 minutes. Maya answered each one with calm precision, never raising her voice, never showing the anger that still burned beneath her surface. After the press conference, Maya and Alicia met Gloria in a small coffee shop 3 blocks away. The elderly housekeeper carried a large manila envelope, her hands trembling slightly as she set it on the table. I started recording meetings 5 years ago, Gloria explained, her voice low. After they promoted Travis, despite multiple complaints, I knew nobody would believe just my word. She pulled out a small digital recorder and several USB drives. Staff meetings, department heads discussing problem guests, Travis giving instructions about who to watch extra careful. Her eyes met Maya's. But this is the worst part. From the envelope, she withdrew a faded memo dated 2019. The paper was creased from being folded and unfolded many times. The previous general manager, Mr. Richardson, sent this to corporate, warning them about racist practices, about Travis's behavior. They ignored it because his family would complain. Alicia read the memo, her jaw tightening. This proves corporate knowledge. They were explicitly informed and chose to do nothing. Maya touched the memo gently. All these years, Gloria, you've been carrying this weight alone. Not alone anymore, Gloria replied, straightening her shoulders. That afternoon, in a closed board session, Eleanor's usual polish cracked as she reviewed the evidence. The recordings were damning. The ignored memo was a legal nightmare. Board members shifted uncomfortably in their seats as Alicia outlined their potential liability. If this becomes public, one director warned, the shareholders could sue us for failing our fiduciary duty. If we don't address it, another countered, the civil rights lawsuits could bankrupt us. Eleanor rubbed her temples. We need to get ahead of this. Show we're taking decisive action. The vote was unanimous. If reluctant, they would publicly support Maya's closure decision and suspend Travis without pay pending further investigation. That evening, Maya stood in her kitchen pouring a glass of wine. Her phone buzzed with messages, support from other black executives, journalists requesting interviews, even a few board members making private overtures. For the first time since the slap, she felt something like hope, not triumph. She knew the fight was far from over, but the quiet satisfaction of truth finally coming to light. She touched her cheek, remembering the sting of Travis's hand, and thought about Gloria's years of silent documentation. The weight of it all settled around her shoulders as she prepared for bed. Tomorrow would bring new battles, but tonight she allowed herself to breathe. The truth was out, the evidence was secure, one small piece of justice had been served. In her bedroom, she carefully hung up the emerald dress that had become a symbol of this fight. As she turned out the light, her phone lit up with a text from Gloria. Proud of you today, Drive. Ellison, real proud. Maya's phone vibrated against her nightstand, the sound drilling into her morning peace. She blinked awake, reaching for it automatically. 47 missed calls, hundreds of messages. Her heart rate quickened as she sat up in bed. The first text was from Alicia. Turn on the news now. Maya grabbed her remote with trembling fingers. The TV flickered to life and her stomach dropped. There she was on screen. But something was wrong. The footage started after the slap, showing only her ordering staff into the lobby. The audio was distorted, making her measured words sound shrill and aggressive. Breaking news, the anchor announced as shocking footage emerges from the Ellison Grand Hotel incident. Watch as CEO Maya Ellison launches what witnesses describe as a racially charged tirade before firing the entire staff. Maya's phone buzzed again. Eleanor Briggs this time. Emergency board call in 30 minutes. This is a disaster. In the bathroom, Maya splashed cold water on her face, her hands shaking slightly. The bruise on her cheek had almost faded, but she touched it gently, remembering the sharp crack of Travis's hand. The real moment that started all this, conveniently edited out of the viral video. She dressed quickly, choosing a charcoal gray suit instead of her usual emerald. As she buttoned her jacket, social media notifications flooded her screen. The hashtag Secure Racist CEO was trending. Comments called her unhinged, reverse racist, power mad. The videos everywhere, Alicia reported when Maya called her while rushing to her home office. They've edited it perfectly, cut out the slap, amplified your voice to sound aggressive, added ominous background music. It's a professional hit job. Maya settled into her desk chair just as the emergency board call began. Eleanor's face appeared first, followed by a grid of concerned directors. Their expressions ranged from worried to hostile. Dr. Ellison, Eleanor began, her voice clipped. This footage has created a serious crisis of confidence. That footage is deliberately manipulated, Maya responded calmly. We have the original security video showing the full incident, including Mr. Cole's assault. The public isn't seeing that version, Director Thompson cut in. They're seeing you allegedly conducting a racially motivated mass firing. Our stock is down 12% in pre-market trading. Several major shareholders have expressed grave concerns. Another director added, they feel our statement supporting your actions was premature. Maya's phone buzzed. A text from Alicia. Found something. The video leak traces back to accounts connected to Travis's family. But there's more, much more. Come to my office ASAP. The board needs to stand firm, Maya insisted to the worried faces on her screen. This is a coordinated attempt to discredit me and protect Travis Cole from the consequences of his actions. Perhaps, Eleanor said carefully, it would be wise to consider a temporary step back while we manage this crisis. Just until things calm down. Maya's jaw tightened. I will not step back from defending my own dignity or the principles this company was built on. The call ended with nothing resolved. Maya grabbed her keys and headed straight to Alicia's office where her friend was surrounded by stacks of documents and multiple computer screens. Look at this, Alicia said without preamble, turning her laptop around. These documents were buried in a subpoena response from the corporate servers. There's been a secret negotiation happening for months. Maya leaned in, scanning the emails and draft agreements. Her blood ran cold as she absorbed their meaning. The founding family, Travis's people, they've been working with Blackstone Capital Partners, Alicia explained. They want to sell the flagship hotel, but the hedge fund has conditions. They want stable, traditional leadership. They want you gone. Maya sank into a chair. So, the slap wasn't random. They were already planning to push me out. The hedge fund thinks you're too progressive, too focused on social issues instead of pure profit, Alicia confirmed. They want someone more controllable. Maya's phone buzzed again. Her assistant's voice was apologetic. Dr. Ellison, I've just received notice. The board has called an emergency in-person meeting for tomorrow morning. There's a vote of no confidence on the agenda. After hanging up, Maya stared out Alicia's office window at the city skyline. The Ellison Grand's distinctive roof line was visible in the distance, her name still gleaming in gold letters. They're really going to do it, she said quietly. Use this edited video as cover to take my company away from me. Alicia squeezed her friend's shoulder. Maya, listen to me. This is bigger than Travis now. This is about power. Old money versus new money. Their system versus your changes. All because I refused to let a white man slap me in my own lobby without consequences. Maya's voice was bitter. Her phone kept buzzing. More media requests, more angry messages, more concerned employees asking what was happening. The stock price dropped another 3 points. The meeting's at 9 tomorrow morning, Maya said finally. They need a 2/3 majority to remove me as CEO. Then we have until 9 tomorrow to find a way to stop them, Alicia replied, turning back to her documents with fierce determination. Maya stood, smoothing her charcoal suit. Through the window, she could see news vans gathering outside the Ellison Grand, their satellite dishes raised like accusatory fingers against the morning sky. Somewhere in that building, in a time that felt like years ago instead of days, a man had struck her for daring to claim her own space. Now they wanted to finish what his hand had started. Maya's heels clicked against the polished floor of Ellison Hospitality's corporate headquarters as she made her way to the boardroom. Her charcoal suit felt like armor, each step measured and deliberate. Alicia walked beside her, briefcase clutched tight, both women aware of the whispers that followed them down the corridor. Through the glass walls, Maya could see Eleanor Briggs standing at the head of the long table. Other board members arranged like a jury. Their faces were masks of professional concern, but their eyes held something harder. Lawyers in expensive suits lined the walls, notepads ready. Dr. Ellison, Eleanor said as Maya entered, her tone carefully neutral. Please take your seat. Maya chose a chair directly across from Eleanor, Alicia settling beside her. The room smelled of coffee and tension. On the large screen behind Eleanor, the doctored video was paused, showing Maya's face twisted in what looked like rage, a moment she knew had been manipulated to strip away all context. Before we begin, Eleanor continued, I want to acknowledge the difficulty of this situation for everyone involved. Play the video, one of the directors demanded. Let's see what the whole world is seeing. The footage started. Maya watched herself on screen, but it wasn't really her. The editors had done their work well. They'd removed Travis's slap entirely, started with her gathering the staff, adjusted the audio to make her measured words sound shrill. Background music added an ominous undertone. Even her posture seemed somehow more aggressive in this version. The stock has dropped 18%. Director Thompson said when the video ended. Major clients are threatening to pull their conferences. The press is having a field day. This is a manufactured crisis. Maya responded, her voice steady. Alicia, show them the original footage. Alicia connected her laptop to the display. The unedited security video played clearly. Travis's condescension, his grab for her wrist, the sharp crack of his hand across her face. Several directors shifted uncomfortably in their seats. We've also traced the source of the edited version, Alicia added, bringing up a document. The accounts that first shared it linked directly to Travis Cole's family members and their associates. That's circumstantial, one of the lawyers cut in, and frankly irrelevant to the current situation. The damage to the company's reputation is real, regardless of how it happened. Eleanor held up a thick folder. We've received letters from dozens of major shareholders expressing serious concerns about the company's direction. The founding family's representatives are threatening legal action for what they term discriminatory dismissal of staff. The same founding family that's been secretly negotiating to sell the flagship hotel. Maya challenged. The deal that requires my removal is a condition of sale. Several directors exchanged glances. Eleanor's lips tightened. That's a separate business matter. It's all connected. Maya insisted. This entire crisis was manufactured to force me out because I refused to let this company continue enabling discrimination. Dr. Ellison, Eleanor sighed, no one questions your commitment to social justice, but your actions, however well-intentioned, have created significant liability for this company. The board has a fiduciary duty to act. A younger director leaned forward. What about our duty to stand against discrimination? If we cave to this pressure, what message does that send? We're not here to send messages, Thompson snapped. We're here to protect this company's value and stability. Maya watched the faces around the table. Some couldn't meet her eyes. Others stared with open hostility. She recognized the moment for what it was. Power protecting power. The system circling its wagons. I move we proceed to a vote, Eleanor announced. The motion before us is to place Drive Ellison on indefinite administrative leave pending independent review of recent events. During this period, day-to-day operations will be overseen by the executive committee. This vote itself could be grounds for a discrimination lawsuit. Alicia warned, you're considering removing a CEO for responding to a documented physical assault. We're removing her for actions that have damaged company value and shareholder confidence, Thompson countered. Her race has nothing to do with it. All in favor? Eleanor asked, hands raised around the table. Maya counted them silently. More than 2/3. It was done. Dr. Ellison. Eleanor's voice was almost gentle. Effective immediately. You are placed on indefinite administrative leave. Security will escort you to clear your office. Maya stood slowly, her dignity intact despite the hammer blow. You are making a terrible mistake. Not just morally, but legally and financially. This company was built on principles of equality and justice. You're betraying everything it stands for. We'll need your company phone and laptop, one of the lawyers said, holding out his hand. 2 security guards appeared at the door. Men who normally greeted her with respect, now avoiding her eyes. Maya handed over her devices, gathered her personal items into her bag. Alicia stayed close, radiating protective fury. The walk through the office was endless. Employees peeked over cubicle walls, ducked into conference rooms. Outside, reporters had gathered, alerted by someone inside. Camera flashes burst as Maya emerged. Dr. Ellison, is it true you conducted a racially motivated purge? Were you acting out of prejudice against white employees? Do you regret your actions? Is this the end of your career? Maya kept walking head high, Alicia shielding her from the worst of it. Her driver was waiting, door already open. Hours later, she sat alone in her living room watching the news coverage. The doctored video played again and again. Commentators dissected her meltdown, her volatility, her reverse racism. Everything she'd built, every barrier she'd broken was being rewritten into a cautionary tale about angry black women who didn't know their place. On the screen, the manipulated version of herself fired her staff again and again. Each replay driving home how thoroughly they'd twisted her moment of strength into proof of her unfitness. The bruise on her cheek had faded, but she could still feel Travis's hand, still see his smirk. They'd erased his violence and made her response the crime. Maya touched her cheek gently, exhaustion settling into her bones. 20 years of building something that mattered, of creating safe spaces where her parents had found none, of proving excellence could overcome prejudice. And it could all end like this. Undone by old money protecting its own. The city sparkled beyond Maya's darkened living room window, a stark contrast to the hollow feeling in her chest. Her emerald green dress hung in the closet, replaced by soft loungewear that felt like admitting defeat. The muted TV still flickered with occasional coverage of her meltdown, but she barely noticed anymore. Her phone sat heavy in her hand. Dozens of missed calls and messages accumulating throughout the day. She hadn't been able to face them. But now, in the quiet darkness, she pressed play on the first voicemail. Dr. Ellison, a young voice, slightly shaky. I was there that morning in the lobby. I saw what really happened. I saw him hit you and I saw how you handled it. My mom always told me to keep my head down, to not make waves. But watching you stand your ground like that, the voice cracked slightly, it showed me what dignity looks like. Please don't let them make you disappear. We need you to keep fighting. Maya's throat tightened. She played the next message. Baby, it's Gloria. The familiar voice was thick with emotion. I'm so sorry. All these years I kept those records thinking maybe someday, but I never really believed justice was possible. Then you walked in that morning. And for the first time, I saw someone strong enough to make them face what they've done. Don't let these devils win. Whatever you need, I'm here. More messages followed from former employees, from guests who'd faced discrimination at other hotels, from young professionals who saw her as a role model. Each voice pushed back against the weight of the board's rejection, reminding her why she'd built Ellison Hospitality in the first place. Maya stood, walking to her window. Below, the streets were quiet, but she remembered other quiet nights. Nights when her parents had to drive hours out of their way because no decent hotels would take black guests. Nights when she'd worked late at her law firm, building cases for clients facing discrimination. Nights planning every detail of her first hotel, determined to create something different. Her phone buzzed with a text from Alicia. Cafe Sol, 8 a.m. tomorrow. Bring your fire. Sleep came in fits and starts, but Maya was dressed and ready by 7, choosing a deep purple suit that felt like battle armor. The small cafe was nearly empty when she arrived. Alicia and Gloria already waiting at a corner table far from windows. You look better than I expected, Alicia said, pushing a coffee toward her. Good. We need you sharp. Gloria reached across the table, squeezing Maya's hand. Up close, the older woman's eyes were tired but determined. I brought everything, every note, every recording, every complaint I saved. 35 years of their mess. Alicia spread files across the table, speaking low and fast. The full lobby video shows clear assault and discrimination. Gloria's records demonstrate decades of systematic racism that corporate knew about and ignored. The timestamps on the edited video prove deliberate manipulation. But will it be enough? Maya asked, stirring her untouched coffee. They've already controlled the narrative. That's why we need to change the venue, Alicia said. Take it out of their boardroom, away from their lawyers. Make them face the truth in public. Gloria nodded. People need to hear from those who lived it. Not just me. I've been making calls. Other old-timers, retired staff who got pushed out, guests who got treated wrong. They're ready to speak up. Maya's phone chimed with an email notification. Alicia checked her own phone and smiled. That's from Jordan. They're officially on our side. Listen to this. I saved the original security footage before anyone could touch it. I have the chat logs where Travis bragged about putting Drive Ellison in her place. I'll testify anonymously. What they did was wrong. Jordan. Gloria looked surprised. The front desk clerk. Well, people have consciences, Alicia said. Sometimes they just need permission to use them. Maya read through Jordan's email twice. This proves the video was deliberately edited to smear me. But the board already chose to ignore the truth once. The board isn't our target anymore, Alicia replied, pulling out a fresh legal pad. We're going straight to the public. A town hall meeting live streamed, no editing, no corporate filters, just raw truth from the people who lived it. The founding family will try to shut it down, Maya warned. Let them try, Gloria said fiercely. I've been quiet for 35 years. I'm done whispering. They spent the next hour plotting details. The community center could host within 48 hours. Local civil rights groups would help promote it. Gloria's network of former employees could testify. Jordan's evidence would be devastating. We'll need security, Alicia noted, making lists. And a technical team we trust for the live stream. No one can interfere with the feed. Maya felt energy returning to her limbs. Purpose replacing exhaustion. The young woman who left that voicemail. Can we find her? Her story matters too. Already on it. Gloria said she's a regular guest. I have her information. They relocated to Alicia's office that afternoon. The plan taking clearer shape. Maya stood at the window, watching the city she'd fought so hard to succeed in. Behind her, Alicia and Gloria worked the phones, gathering allies and evidence. You'll open the town hall, Alicia said. Then we'll play the unedited footage. After that, a steady stream of testimony, decades of receipts being called in at once. We're not just exposing Travis, Maya realized. We're exposing the whole system that protected him. That's right, Gloria said. Every last ugly piece of it. Maya turned from the window, her voice finding its strength again. If they want a spectacle, we'll give them the truth in front of everyone. The community center ballroom hummed with tension. Every folding chair was filled with people standing along the walls, phones and cameras raised like silent witnesses. Under harsh fluorescent lights, Maya sat on the modest stage in her emerald green dress, flanked by Alicia, Gloria, and 3 civil rights leaders. A large projection screen loomed behind them. Sweat beaded on foreheads in the packed room. The air conditioning struggled against the crowd's collective heat and anxiety. Camera operators from independent media outlets adjusted their equipment, preparing to broadcast everything live. Alicia stepped to the podium, her heels clicking against the wooden stage. "Good evening. We're here tonight for truth-telling." Her voice carried clear and strong through the speakers. "The hospitality industry has a long history of discrimination. Tonight, you will hear first-hand accounts of systemic racism at one of America's most prestigious hotels. Accounts that corporate leadership tried to bury." Maya watched the audience lean forward, phone steady, live chat notifications already pinging. She recognized faces, former employees, community leaders, guests who'd faced discrimination. In the back, Jordan stood partially concealed behind a column, wearing a baseball cap pulled low. Gloria rose slowly, her usual limp more pronounced under the bright lights. She gripped the podium with weathered hands. "My name is Gloria Watkins. For 35 years, I worked at the Ellison Grand Hotel. I started as a housekeeper when I was barely 20. She paused, gathering strength. "I'm here to tell you what I saw." The room fell silent as Gloria described decades of discrimination. Black guests charged higher rates. Minority staff relegated to night shifts. Complaints disappeared into thin air. Her voice grew stronger as she spoke about the injury that management downplayed. The promotions denied to people of color. The slurs she pretended not to hear. "I kept records," Gloria said, holding up one of her worn notebooks. "Every incident, every date, every name. I wrote it all down, thinking maybe someday someone would care enough to listen." She pulled out the damning memo from years ago. This report warned corporate about racist behavior. They ignored it because the founding family didn't want changes. Phones flashed as she held up the evidence. The live chat exploded with angry emoji and demands for justice. Maya felt the room's growing outrage like a physical force. Alicia returned to the podium. "And now we'll show you unedited security footage from last week. Compare this to the manipulated version you may have seen in the media." The screen flickered to life. The lobby scene unfolded in stark clarity. Travis's aggressive stance, his patronizing tone the moment he grabbed Maya's wrist. When the slap came, the audience gasped collectively. The footage continued, showing Maya's composed response in the subsequent staff gathering. "Note the timestamps," Alicia said. "This proves the viral video was deliberately edited to remove the assault and distort drive." Ellison's actions. Jordan stepped forward, face partially obscured, voice disguised through a microphone. "I was working the front desk that morning. What you just saw is exactly what happened." They described Travis's history of racist behavior, producing screenshots of staff group chats where he mocked minority guests. After the incident, Jordan continued, "Travis ordered us to edit the security footage. He said his family would protect him, that doctor. Ellison would be the one to suffer." They revealed text messages where Travis bragged about putting that woman in her place and coordinating the video leak. The audience murmured angrily. Social media notifications ping faster now. Support flooding in from viewers worldwide. Alicia displayed corporate documents on the screen. This evidence reveals why Travis felt untouchable. His family, major shareholders in Ellison Hospitality, had been secretly negotiating to sell the flagship hotel to a hedge fund. The deal had one key condition: removing drive. Maya Ellison is CEO. She outlined the scheme, how Travis's assault was meant to provoke a reaction, how the edited video was prepared in advance, how board members were pressured to support Maya's removal. More witnesses took the stage. Former employees describing years of discrimination. Guests sharing stories of mistreatment. Even a former manager who'd quit rather than enforce racist policies. The young black guest from the lobby incident spoke, voice shaking but determined. "I watched a wealthy white man assault a black woman in broad daylight, thinking he could get away with it. Then I watched that woman stand up with dignity and say, 'No more.' That moment changed something in me." Maya felt tears in her audience's eyes, saw phones trembling in raised hands. The live chat scrolled too fast to read, but the sentiment was clear. Anger, support, demands for justice. Alicia returned for the final revelation. "We are announcing civil lawsuits against Travis Cole, the founding family, and board members who enabled discrimination. But there's more." She held up a legal document. Hidden in the investors' agreement is a clause allowing the CEO to trigger a special shareholder vote when faced with documented civil rights violations. The room buzzed with anticipation. This provision lets shareholders strip voting rights from anyone involved in discriminatory practices. Dr. Ellison can force a vote that could remove the founding family's control entirely. In her office across town, Eleanor Briggs watched the live stream with growing horror. She saw the viewer count climbing past 100,000, saw the evidence she'd helped suppress laid bare. Her phone exploded with messages from panicked board members and investors. With trembling fingers, Eleanor drafted an urgent email calling for an emergency shareholder meeting within 72 hours. The system she protected was crumbling, and she could only watch it fall. The Magnolia Hotel's grand conference hall buzzed with nervous energy. Sunlight streamed through tall windows, highlighting dust motes dancing above the crowd of shareholders, reporters, and legal teams. Maya sat at a front table beside Alicia, her emerald green dress a stark contrast against the white tablecloth. Her hands were steady as she arranged her papers, but her jaw remained tight. Eleanor Briggs stood at the podium. Her usual polished confidence dimmed. Dark circles showed through her makeup, evidence of sleepless nights since the town hall broadcast went viral. She tapped the microphone twice, bringing the murmuring room to attention. As board chair, I call this emergency shareholder meeting to order. Her voice wavered slightly. Recent events have raised serious concerns about operations at the Ellison Grand Hotel and corporate oversight of discriminatory practices. She paused, swallowing hard. Given the gravity of these issues, we've agreed to address them immediately. Alicia rose, her heels clicking against the marble floor as she approached the podium. Behind her, large screens flickered to life. Shareholders, what you're about to see represents decades of systemic discrimination at your flagship property. She began methodically. First, Gloria's meticulous records appeared on screen. Dates, incidents, names carefully logged in neat handwriting. Mrs. Watkins documented 372 separate discriminatory incidents over 35 years. The numbers scrolled endlessly. Minority guests charged higher rates. Black employees passed over for promotion. Racial slurs from management. The room shifted uncomfortably as Gloria's recorded testimony played. Her voice, strong despite her age, filled the space. I watched good people quit because they couldn't take the abuse. I watched families turned away for made-up reasons. I kept writing it all down, hoping somebody would finally care. Other testimonies followed. Former bellhops describing segregated work schedules. Desk clerks admitting to coded warnings about certain guests. Managers confessing to ignored complaints. Each story built upon the last, creating an undeniable pattern. Corporate knew, Alicia continued, displaying the old warning memo. They were informed repeatedly. They chose to protect Travis Cole and his family's interests instead. The screen switched to the complete lobby footage. The sound of Travis's slap echoed through the conference hall's expensive speakers. Several shareholders flinched visibly. Maya's composed response played out in real time. No editing, no manipulation. Maya stood, her presence commanding attention. I built this company to create safe spaces, she said, her voice carrying to every corner. I named it Ellison because I wanted my name to mean something different in hospitality, not just another place where black travelers feel unwelcome, where minority staff suffer in silence. She lifted a document. Article 7, Section 12 of our investor agreement contains a civil rights provision. It allows for the stripping of voting rights from any shareholder bloc found complicit in discriminatory practices or retaliation against those who report them. Her eyes swept the room. I am invoking that clause today. Travis Cole shot up from his seat, face red. This is ridiculous. I was protecting my staff from an aggressive Mr. Cole. Alicia interrupted smoothly. On the screens behind him, his own text messages appeared. Racist jokes about guests, complaints about letting these people into his hotel, detailed instructions for editing the lobby video to make Maya appear unhinged. Travis spun around, saw his words projected 20 feet high, and stumbled over his next sentence. Those are private. These messages show coordination with your family members to orchestrate Dr. Ellison's removal. Alicia continued, they prove the assault was premeditated, part of a larger scheme to trigger the hedge fund sale clause. More evidence filled the screens. Emails between Travis's uncle and the hedge fund discussing terms that required new leadership. Meeting notes where board members were pressured to support Maya's suspension. Travis's gleeful texts about the viral video's impact. Maya addressed the shareholders again. You have a choice today. Stand with documented discrimination and assault or vote to remove those responsible from power. The civil rights provision exists precisely for this situation. Eleanor called for the formal vote. Tablets were distributed to voting members. The room fell silent except for the soft tapping of fingers on screens. Minutes stretched like hours. Travis paced, pulling at his collar. His family members huddled with lawyers, whispering urgently. Security guards moved closer to the exits, watching for trouble. A young clerk collected the tablets and hurried to Eleanor. She stared at the results for a long moment before returning to the podium. Cameras raised, phones pointed. The room held its breath. The motion passes, Eleanor announced, her voice tight. Per Article 7, Section 12, the founding family's voting rights are hereby suspended. All sale agreements predicated on leadership changes are nullified. A wave of whispers swept the room. Travis's face went from red to pale. His hands shook as he reached for his water glass, knocking it over instead. Security personnel edged closer, watching his increasingly erratic movements. The founding family's lawyers immediately huddled, papers flying. Other shareholders began to stand, some looking shocked, others nodding in grim satisfaction. Reporters rushed for the doors, phones already pressed to their ears. Travis stood alone by his chair, tie askew, watching decades of unearned power crumble in real time. His eyes darted between the exits and the security guards behind him. His damning messages still glowed on the giant screens, a testament to his downfall. Camera flashes exploded across the conference hall like lightning. Travis Cole's face contorted with rage and panic as two uniformed police officers approached, their badges catching the morning light. Alicia Ramos stepped smoothly to the side, her expression neutral but satisfied. Travis Cole, the first officer announced, his voice carrying across the now silent room. You're under arrest for assault and tampering with evidence. The second officer moved behind Travis, handcuffs ready. This is insane. Travis tried to back away, bumping into the table behind him. Water glasses rattled. Do you know who I am? My family built this. Sir, put your hands behind your back. The first officer instructed firmly. When Travis hesitated, the officer added, don't make this worse for yourself. Maya watched from her position at the front table, her face calm, but her eyes intense. The shareholders, still processing their historic vote, turned to witness the spectacle of Travis Cole being handcuffed in his expensive suit. His carefully maintained image of power crumbled with each metallic click of the restraints. The security footage shows clear assault, Alicia explained to the gathering press. Additionally, we have documented evidence of Mr. Cole orchestrating the tampering and distribution of edited video footage with intent to defame Drive. Ellison, Travis's family lawyers scrambled forward, but Alicia held up a hand. Your clients might want to consider their next moves carefully. We have a settlement package prepared. Her smile was razor sharp. It includes a mandatory sale of shares at a significant discount. The founding family representatives huddled near the back of the room, faces ashen. Their phones buzzed constantly as news of the vote spread through financial circles. The hedge fund deal they'd counted on had evaporated along with their voting power and Travis's freedom. As the officers led Travis toward the exit, he twisted around. Maya, he shouted, using her first name for the first time. You can't do this to me. This hotel is my birthright. Maya finally spoke, her voice carrying easily through the chaos. No, Mr. Cole, this hotel belongs to everyone who works honestly to make it great. She straightened papers on her table. You never understood that. The double doors swung shut behind Travis and the officers. Camera crews rushed to follow, but Alicia's team was already organizing the remaining proceedings. Over the next hour, initial settlement terms were presented to the founding family's increasingly desperate lawyers. The share price discount is non-negotiable, Alicia explained, laying out documents. Consider it compensation for decades of documented discrimination. She pointed to specific clauses. Additionally, your clients will sign non-interference agreements. Any attempt to influence hotel operations or contact current employees will trigger severe penalties. Maya moved through the crowd of shareholders, accepting congratulations but staying focused. She had already prepared for this moment. Within hours, her executive team would begin implementing the transformation plan for the Ellison Grand. The following week passed in a blur of negotiations and paperwork. Maya's increased voting power was formalized, giving her unprecedented control over operations. The founding family's lawyers tried to fight the share price, but Alicia's evidence of their complicity in discrimination made their position untenable. In her temporary office across town, Maya met with HR specialists and consultants. Every current employee will receive fair severance if they choose to leave, she insisted. But returning requires passing our new standards. She looked over at Gloria, who nodded in agreement. Gloria had already begun designing new training programs, drawing on her decades of experience. We're not just changing rules, she explained to Maya during a late-night planning session. We're changing the whole culture. Every person who works here needs to understand why. Alicia's legal team worked alongside them, crafting policies with real teeth, clear reporting structures, she emphasized, multiple channels for complaints, regular audits, and most importantly, consequences that stick. The physical renovation began immediately. Maya walked through the empty hotel with contractors, pointing out areas that needed updating. The spaces need to feel welcoming to everyone, she insisted. No more subtle signals about who belongs and who doesn't. Through it all, news coverage continued. Travis's arrest photos circulated widely. Financial analysts debated the impact on the hospitality industry. Civil rights leaders praised the unprecedented shareholder action. But Maya stayed focused on the work ahead. 1 month into the transformation, Gloria sat in her new office. No longer a cramped housekeeping space, but a proper management suite. As general manager in training, she interviewed potential staff alongside HR professionals. Her decades of observation had given her an uncanny ability to spot both red flags and genuine potential. Tell me about a time you faced discrimination at work, she asked one candidate, watching carefully for their response. What did you do? What do you wish had been done? Each hire was vetted thoroughly. Experience mattered, but commitment to the new culture mattered more. Gloria's own experiences helped shape the questions. How would you handle a guest making racist comments? What would you do if you witnessed a colleague showing bias? The renovation crews worked steadily through the weeks. Fresh paint covered old walls. New furniture arrived daily. Updated technology was installed throughout the building. But the most important changes weren't physical. At dawn on a bright morning, exactly 3 months after the shareholder vote, Maya stood in the transformed lobby of the Ellison Grand. Sunlight streamed through spotless windows playing across the new marble floors. The space felt both elegant and welcoming, exactly as she had always envisioned it. Gloria joined her, now dressed in a crisp business suit that reflected her new position. Together, they surveyed the results of their work. Every surface gleamed, new staff uniforms hung ready, updated policies and training materials waited in fresh binders. Ready for the reopening? Maya asked softly. The grand glass doors of the Ellison Grand Hotel swung open precisely at 9 a.m. Sunlight caught the new brass plaque beside the entrance. The Ellison Grand, where dignity is our foundation. Below it, a smaller sign listed the hotel's commitments to equity, fair treatment, and zero tolerance for discrimination. Maya stood in her signature emerald green dress, her back straight, watching as the first guests approached. The morning staff lined up behind her, each wearing a fresh uniform with a small gold pin showing their years of service. A new tradition Gloria had suggested to honor experience. Good morning, Marcus. Maya greeted the young bellman who'd impressed Gloria during interviews with his story of standing up to racism at his previous job. Angela looking sharp today, she nodded to their new front desk supervisor who'd come highly recommended for her work in diversity training. Gloria moved through the lobby with natural authority, her tailored blazer and confident stride reflecting her position as general manager. She paused to adjust a display board near the check-in area. The board outlined the hotel's revolutionary new programs, employee profit sharing, comprehensive whistleblower protections, and the Gloria Watkins Scholarship Fund for hospitality students from underserved communities. Everything said in the restaurant, James, Gloria asked the food service manager. Her slight limp from her old injury was barely noticeable as she walked the floor, but she'd refused Maya's offer to remove the small step near the kitchen. Leave it, she'd said. It's a reminder of what we changed. The first wave of guests entered, including an older black couple shepherding 3 excited grandchildren. Maya watched discreetly as Angela welcomed them, noting how the grandmother's shoulders initially tensed, a learned reaction from decades of poor treatment at other hotels. Welcome to the Ellison Grand, Mr. and Mrs. Washington. Angela smiled warmly, using their name naturally from the reservation. I see you're celebrating a special birthday. She gestured to the youngest child who beamed. That's right, Mrs. Washington said cautiously. Our grandson Marcus is turning 8. Wonderful. Then you'll be especially pleased with your room. Assignment. We've upgraded you to our family suite on the top floor. It has an excellent view of the park. Angela's genuine warmth seemed to surprise them. And our children's program has special activities planned this afternoon. If you're interested. Maya noticed the subtle shift in Mr. Washington's posture as he realized no extra questions were coming, no additional credit card holds, no suspicious looks at their luggage, just simple, dignified service. Across town, in the dim interior of Allie's bar, a different scene played out. Several former Ellison Grand employees sat nursing afternoon beers, their eyes fixed on the mounted TV. A news anchor's voice filled the quiet room. Former hotel manager Travis Cole appeared in court today, facing charges of assault and evidence tampering. Cole, whose family once held significant control of the Ellison Hospitality Group, was caught on camera assaulting CEO Drive. Maya Ellison in the hotel's lobby. The footage played again, Travis's hand striking Maya's face, followed by shots of him being led from the shareholder meeting in handcuffs. The segment cut to business analysts praising the hotel's transformation. The Ellison Grand's new employee-focused model is showing promising early results. A commentator explained, profit sharing, enhanced training, and strict anti-discrimination policies have created what industry experts are calling the new standard in hospitality management. Mike, a former security guard who'd laughed during the original incident, stared into his beer. Should have known better, he muttered. Should have stopped him. Like you could have, snapped Jenny, an ex-desk clerk, still bitter about her termination. Travis owned that place. No, said Carlos, their former maintenance supervisor. Dr. Ellison owned it. We just forgot whose name was really on the building. Back in the gleaming lobby, the morning continued smoothly. Every guest received the same attentive service. Every request met with equal respect. The new staff moved with purpose, their training evident in each interaction. Jordan, now working in compliance and oversight, conducted subtle observations from near the business center. Their notebook recorded only positive interactions, a dramatic change from the old days of documenting slurs and complaints. Gloria paused near the front desk, watching an Asian family check in without a single mispronounced name or unnecessary ID request. A small smile played at her lips as she remembered the careful hiring process, the hours spent role-playing scenarios, the emphasis on genuine respect rather than mere politeness. The Washington family returned from touring their upgraded suite, the children's eyes wide with excitement. Mrs. Washington, the grandmother, noticed Maya standing near the concierge desk, and approached her slowly. Dr. Ellison, she said softly. I recognized you from the news. She reached for Maya's hand, her eyes bright with emotion. I have to tell you something. When I was younger, hotels like this, they used to turn us away. Made us feel small, made us feel like we didn't belong. Maya clasped the older woman's hand, feeling the weight of shared history between them. The morning light streamed through the lobby windows, catching the gold lettering that spelled out her family name. Not anymore, Maya answered, her voice firm but gentle. Not in this house, not ever again. If you enjoyed the story, leave a like to support my channel and subscribe so that you do not miss out on the next one. On the screen, I have picked 2 special stories just for you. Have a wonderful day.